Ragin Cajuns baseball upsets the number 2 team in the country in front of the third largest crowd in school history. Let's recap it here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another episode here on Ragin Rundown, the show where you will know all things UL sports. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. Before we get started, please do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, share it, and leave a comment down below. If you're listening, follow the podcast feed, rate us, and leave us a review because that will help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. And in today's episode, we are recapping Wednesday night's victory over the number 2 LSU Tigers by the Ragin Cajuns baseball team. And before we talk anything baseball related, I have to tip my cap to Cajun Nation for showing up the way that they did. You wore vermilion and white, and you showed up in full-fledged, the best way that I think I've ever seen the Teague be. When Amedee hit that RBI double at the bottom of the first inning, that was probably the loudest that I've heard the Teague in the 5 years that I've been covering this program. 5,700 people inside of Russo Park on a Wednesday night. It gets no better than that. And it truly was a home field advantage for the Ragin Cajuns to be able to pick up this victory. So kudos to Cajun Nation. Shout out to the city of Lafayette for showing up, for getting there early, for tailgating, for being a ruckus crowd, and making it hard for LSU to get things going because you were an extra part of the advantage in this win. Now, when it comes to the victory, Louisiana picks up a 7-2 win over the defending national champions. And, we talked about this coming in, that a game like this will not make or break a season, but this can be a defining moment for you. In terms of game flow, Louisiana set the tone early. They're in the bottom of the first. LSU would threaten as Derek Carrillo got on after being walked, but then he would be picked off, caught stealing there at second. Shout out to Colt Brown for slinging it there to get himself an opportunity to pick off Carrillo and not allow them to score a run early. So then you get to the bottom of the frame, and Amedee gives you an RBI double, and then there's a throwing error that happens. Another run comes in. Steven Spalitta gives you a sac fly. They go up 3-0. LSU would commit 2 early errors in that frame that the Cajuns were able to capitalize on. Obviously, you had a throwing error there from the pitching staff, and then you also had one where there was an error by the first baseman that allowed another run to be scored there in the ball game. So if I can pull it up, I can tell you exactly what it was that happened because I'm looking back at this after a night's rest. So it was a double by Amedee. Amedee advanced to third on a throwing error by a failed pickoff attempt by Gavin Guidry. And then after that, Rigoberto Hernandez would reach on a fielder's choice. Amedee would score with the throwing error by the first baseman. He tried to throw it there to home. Amedee would score. Colt Brown singles to the right side. Rigoberto Hernandez advances to third. And then Steven Spalitta gets the sac fly. You're up 3-0. 2 early errors by the Tigers. You capitalize on it. You build an early lead. And then from there, your pitching staff was able to really settle in as Cody Brasch got the start, which we were accustomed to seeing Sawyer Pruitt come out in midweek games, but instead he was brought in relief to be able to slam the door shut. Cody Brasch comes in, he goes 3 innings, allows just 2 hits, and strikes out 5 of the 11 batters that he faced. He attacked the LSU lineup really well and was able to be calm. He was efficient, and he was able to keep that lead that you had built early on. Then LSU finally wakes up. They're in the top of the fifth. Trent Caraway gets a 2-run homer. That cuts the lead now 3-2. And it did silent there for just a minute, but then the Cajuns came with a response there in the bottom of the frame, which was huge. They respond with 3 runs of their own. Donovan LaSalle gets a double, so now he's positioned on second base. And it would be challenged, excuse me, it would be challenged by LSU on whether or not he made it. The call was confirmed, so LSU would be 0 for 2 in reviews in the game. Drew Markle then laid down a bunt, and it would be a throwing error at first base by the pitcher trying to get Markle out. Donovan LaSalle comes around and scores. Then you have a pitching change that happens. From there, your scoring was Rigoberto Hernandez that got a single through the right side. Drew Markle scores. And then your last score that you got there in the bottom of the fifth was Blaze Rodriguez advancing to second after a throwing error after the bases were loaded. So now you're sitting at 6-2 being up. LSU at this point had 3 errors. Again, you capitalize on all 3 of them, and you make them pay for messing up in the game, which is ultimately what you want to try to do. And then finally, you're able to slam the door shut. Sawyer Pruitt comes in, closes. He goes 4 innings, allows 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. He gets the save, and you win the ball game. Huge, huge victory. Crowd was electric. The sights and sounds, I was able to get plenty of video after the game was over. You can check that out on my social medias at JFitsTV. Coming into this game, your RPI was somewhere in the teens, and now, according to Warren Nolan, you're now 15th in RPI in non-conference, which is great. Now you have to be able to carry this over into conference play as it inches closer. You have a big opportunity to continue to build on that when you travel out to Dallas Baptist this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. This was huge, though, because coming into this game, LSU was tied for runs scored. Coming into the week, they were tied for runs scored in the country. They were 15th with 124. That's about 9.5 per game in the 13 games that they had played coming in to the week, and you held them to 2. Hat tip to the bullpen. We'll give them more credit a little bit later. And now as a team, your strength of schedule is 14th for UL. Your RPI is 15th. You're 1-2 in quad 1 victories, and you are 3-1 in quad 2 matchups. Huge. Big moment. Again, it doesn't make or break your season, but it is a moment that can define where you stand as you move forward in the year. So some takeaways from this game. The first one is that UL won the pressure battle. I mean, you are at home, so the hostility of the environment isn't as pressured. However, you come out and you hit the defending national champions in the mouth out the gate. After they threatened early, they got a runner on, you pick them off, you get out of the inning, you score 3 runs, and then they cut the lead to just 1 run. And where some teams may have folded in that instance, you didn't. You immediately responded. Not only did you respond, but you were able to build that lead back up. So you started off, you never trailed, and then after they hit a 2-run homer, you respond again. Huge. On top of that, you forced LSU to have 3 errors. You took extra bases. You were able to get sac flies when you needed. You capitalized on wild pitches. You were aggressive, but you were controlled. You all had 7 runs scored on 9 hits, while LSU only scored 2 of their runs on 7 hits, and I believe that they stranded 7 runners, excuse me. This wasn't about a slugfest. This wasn't about trying to beat a team 13-12, 16-15. This was about executing, having timely hits, and taking advantage of when a team makes mistakes. Kudos to the team for doing that. You now have an SEC win. You have a Big 12 win under your belt and a Big 10 win under your belt. I'm going to take a quick timeout, and when we come back in the second half of the show, we'll talk about the bullpen. We'll talk Dallas Baptist coming up this weekend. We'll break it all down when we come back here on Ragin' Rundown. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the Ragin' Rundown podcast. We're going to get back into the action, but before we do, please do me a favor. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Let me know, is this the biggest win for UL this season? And then share it with a LSU fan to tick them off here on this Thursday morning, afternoon, whenever you might be watching it or whatever it is. If you're listening on podcasts, follow the feed, rate the show, leave us a review, all of those good things. The bullpen for Louisiana was outstanding. Matt Diggs has talked about it in the preseason. He's talked about it throughout this season, and they are continuing to prove that they are a weapon. As long as these guys continue to pitch in the way that they are, and you can get run support, the sky's the limit for this team. Huge hat tip to Taylor Sandiford, the pitching coach, the job that he has been able to do working with this bullpen and getting them to be in a position where they believe that they can strike out anybody, that they can pitch with anybody, they can slow down any offense. And again, it has made it to where they are a weapon, that they are making you even better, that you are a quality defensive team. And when you have that, it makes it a lot easier that when you might not be having the best of hitting days, you know, hey, man, our pitching staff is going to hold us off until we get it going. The bats might be quiet now, but when we get it going, they're going to continue to be efficient. They're going to get guys struck out, and they're going to make it to where once we get run support, then we will be able to slam the door shut. Kudos to the quintet of Cody Brasch and Hayden Pearson and Parker Smith and Bryce Wilson and Sawyer Pruitt. Hat tip to you. 7 hits by LSU, 2 earned runs. I believe I said that they are averaging 9.5 runs scored per game. So yes, 9.5 runs scored per game coming into the week. You hold them to 2, 11 strikeouts, and just 2 walks. That's big because you never want to give away freebies. You don't want to make it easy for them to get base runners on. You don't want to make it easy for them to score runs. Make them work for it. You made them work. They weren't able to get it done, but Cody Brasch came in and set the tone. Hayden Pearson was clean. Parker Smith limited damage, and Sawyer Pruitt closed like a veteran. I'll go ahead and say it. You heard it here first. Sawyer Pruitt is going to be freshman pitcher of the year. He may even be freshman player of the year for the Sun Belt. Like, this kid's like that. His ERA, 0. Big games, no problem. He's not rattled. He has great command. He's got stuff. He gets fired up, and he loves playing for the Ragin Cajuns. And, man, this kid is exceptional, and he is going to be something special, not just in the future. I think that he is going to ultimately help you win even more big ball games, and is going to put you in a position to win a conference championship and to be in a regional, and who knows, even a super regional, if he keeps pitching the way he does. If Louisiana gets this version of their bullpen and conference play, man, are they going to be dangerous. Because sitting in there at the top, you've got Coastal, you've got Southern Miss. But if your guys can come out and not look at who it is that's in that other dugout and can just throw strikes, and again, you can get that great run support, yeah, watch out. The Ragin Cajuns are coming. The last thing from this game is just the offensive depth that they were able to produce. Amedee was 2 of 3. He had an RBI and a double. Steven Spalitta had 2 RBI, the sac fly, and the RBI single. Rigoberto Hernandez had an RBI and a sac bunt. Colt Brown had 2 hits. Marco scored twice. There was no one superstar. There's no guy that needs to come out and needs to go 3 for 4 and hit 5 home runs and all these crazy stats and all that thing. Like, it's the entire lineup. You put a guy there at the plate, and if they get going, if someone gets on, Coach Deggs is going to be aggressive. He's going to have guys steal. And then if you get rolling and you get hits going, they're going to score runs. LSU used 8 pitchers, and I know some people were like, oh, man, we're really making them work. But normally Jay Johnson has done that anyway with midweek games. But they were stressed in these moments. Like, even though they normally do this anyway, you're making it hard on them. And, you don't necessarily burn 8 arms in this one. You don't necessarily feel like you made them get outside of their game plan in a midweek game because they do this anyway. But you made them feel uncomfortable. There's no doubt about it. You put pressure on them. The 5th inning, it's 3-2. You come back and you score 3 runs. You get an insurance run later in the game, and you're up 7-2. Now that pitching staff is thinking, I can't give anything else up. We're in a 5-run hole. I got to find a way to help my offense eventually be able to come alive, and I got to go throw strikeouts. They get walking people. They're feeling uncomfortable. LSU was uncomfortable. They were on the road. They were in a hostile environment. They were in a different dugout. They were not at Alec Box Stadium. And you were able to make them uncomfortable. So, again, hat tip to the Ragin Cajuns for picking up this win. They improved to 10-3 on the season. They have won 10 of their last 11 games, and they drop LSU to 11-3 on the season. So now you have a huge 3-game series weekend against Dallas Baptist that will start on Friday. First pitch is at 6 p.m. Quick snapshot about who DBU is. Historically, this has always been a regional team. They have been in a regional in the last 5 seasons. They went to a super in 2021, and they have been ranked 6 times in the last 11 years. They are 8-5 on the season, but 4 of their 5 losses came to 3 of them came to UTSA, who's number 25 in the country, according to D1 Baseball. UTSA is 11-1, and then they had a 2-0 loss to number 12, Oklahoma. And then the other loss was to Oral Roberts. So your win-loss record might look better than them, but Dallas Baptist is a good program, and the Cajuns know that. They are 28th in batting average with a .317, and they are also 28th in the country coming into the week. They were that in hits with 126. They are 25th in runs scored coming into the week with 113. But as we saw against LSU, those numbers don't matter because your bullpen is elite. And if they can have the performance that they did against the Tigers, you have a great opportunity to go into Dallas Baptist, to go on the road and continue to stack great wins. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. We'll recap the weekend here on the show and see where the Cajuns stand after the weekend is over. So Ragin Cajuns pick up the huge victory over number 2 LSU, knocking off the defending national champions in front of a sellout crowd, the 3rd largest crowd in school history. Hat tip to Louisiana as a whole. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this full episode here on Ragin Rundown. If you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. If you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, share it with someone else, and leave us a comment down below because I love interacting with you guys. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate us, and leave us a review because we're going to get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. I'm your guy, Jim Marcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.